welcome to Mock the Week. I'm Dara O'Brien. Joining me this week are Andy Parsons, Zoe Lyons and Russell Howard, Frankie Boyle, Hugh Dennis and Stuart Francis. We start with a round call. If this is the answer, what is the question? On the board are 6 categories. Zoe, which category would you like?
Politics, please.
OK, your category is politics. The answer is 50%. What is the question?
What is the name of 50 Cent's mathematician brother?
Is it what does Heather Mills save on IMAC?
What is the most you'll have to pay for a sofa at DFS?
What is a bad answer to the phrase, how much do you love me?
Is it the percentage of Ant and Dec that is forehead?
Is it you're a 19-year-old Glaswegian male, how much of your life is left?
Is it if I entered an orgy covered in Marmite, what would be my success rate? But to be honest, yeah.
I always find that when people say, oh, I'm a Marmite kind of person, people either love me or hate me, they're always people that everybody hates.
Is it how much of Silvio Berlusconi is made of oil?
Yeah. Is it what percentage of the population, rather than a TV debate, would like to see Cameron and Brown have a cage fight?
I would love to see that.
So would I.
Yeah. Who would win that?
I would imagine Brown.
Yeah, Brown.
He's got moves.
Yeah. He's also got that dislocatable jaw.
Yeah, he can actually swallow your whole.
He could swallow you.
He can actually take the jaw down.
Imagine that. Wouldn't that be incredible? If Cameron Brown told him.
Is it what was the proportion of cats that died during the making of my ill-fated television pilot, Cat versus Bleach?
It would be 100%. Sure.
Do we have an answer that we can do?
I think it's what percentage of the top jobs in the Labour Party does Harriet Harman think should be filled by women?
Absolutely right. Very good. Well done, Hugh. Thank you very much. Yes, the question I was looking for was, according to Harriet Harman, what proportion of the top 2 posts in the Labour Party should be allocated to Harriet Harman? Or more generally, women. This is the news. The Deputy Leader of the Labour Party, Harriet Harman, said that either her post or the job of leader should always be occupied by a woman because, in her words, men cannot be left to run things on their own. Her actual words.
Listen, right? She's applause. Did you hear that? Bingo wings in the corner.
I mean, you know, there is something about representation of women at the high levels of government, but that actual quote does make it seem like every time she left the room, it would turn into a chipped tea party. And she come back in and they go, oh, sorry.
It's true, though, isn't it? Women are underrepresented in the top echelons of politics. In Italy, for example, there are lots of women in the top jobs. You could be Berlusconi who put you in the cabinet in Italy at the age of 19 if you're good enough. So you can see where it's coming from.
Harriet Harman's an incredible figure, isn't she? You know that Harriet Harman, when she first came to my attention, she wrote a book about the history of feminism, which she dedicated to her husband. She's mistaking sexism with people hating her.
She's always saying stupid things, isn't she? She said she is Radio 2 to Gordon Brown's Radio 4. And you're thinking, well, she's not Radio 2. Radio 2 is the most popular radio station in this country. If she's anything, she's Isle of Wight FM on a Sunday morning at 3 o'clock in January when the transmission mast is broken.
Somewhere watching us, there is the guy who does the 3 o'clock in the morning slot.
Why am I the shorthand for crap?
Wouldn't it be great if he looks exactly like Harriet Harman as well?
I know female politicians always have an element of freakishness, don't they? She's a bit of a freak. Hazel Blears looks like Gianfranco Zola humped an Oompa Loompa. And Margaret Beckett looks like a face trapped in a haunted mirror.
As opposed to Alistair Darling.
Thanks to a former winner of Miss Teen USA and Don Prescott.
Why are we led by the least among us?
They're the only ones who are fool enough to do it.
Maybe one of the qualifications to become an MP is you have to be born inside out. That's one of the things. You can quite clearly sustain your organs on the outside. Come on in.
The thing about Harriet Harman as well is that she's wonderfully dappy. I don't know if you knew this, but her blog was recently broken into, and they said she defected to the Tories. And do you know how they found out? Do you know what her password was? Harriet Harman.
Yeah.
They said that if the Lehman Brothers had actually been the Lehman sisters, that the banking crisis wouldn't have been as bad as yours. I think that's utter rubbish.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I think if there were girls in charge of the Lehmans, they'd just gone, sod it, should we just spend it on shoes?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, exactly. $1 billion on Jimmy Choo.
It is a ridiculous argument, the Lehman Brothers, Lehman sisters. I mean, you can just choose any pun at that stage. Whereas the Lehman Brothers were the Gaiman brothers, then the Gaiman could have done much better.
You could say that in tennis. You could go, well, if the Williams sisters were... Oh, that's a bad example.
But the thing is, it just comes down to the fact that they're saying women are better with money. That's what she's saying, which is simply not true. No man bought Mamma Mia. There isn't a man that's listened to Duffy. Everywhere you go... No man went, Duffy, please, I love this stuff. It really sings to me. It isn't a man, this is a direct pop at my girlfriend, who spent 30 quid on a doorstop that's a hedgehog.
It's great to be able to come on a TV show, though, and have a go at your girlfriend, isn't it?
Just don't get the doorstop!
I think if women are genuinely better with money, I think we should put Kerry Katona in charge of Barclays and see what happens.
I think we all know what Harriet needs. Our support, because she's right.
Bankers are sexist and bankers are laddish, but that isn't the reason that the banks collapsed. It's not like people were going, what did the derivatives close at? I don't know, I was giving Jason a wedgie. I think if it's got to be a man and a woman that's in charge, let's have Richard and Judy. Judy can recommend a few books while we wait for the bombs to arrive from all the countries that Richard has offended.
There is an argument that has to be said that a female leader would Labour be more electable under a female leader, and she's right, it would be more electable under it would be electable under anyone, frankly. If they elected a hat stand or a jar of hummus to run if the Labour Party chose the H1N1 virus to lead into the next election, it would do better than they will under Gordon Brown. Why has Lord Mandelson been in the news this week?
He's building a Death Star.
There he is. Dun, 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 dun.
It's been suggested that he should take over as Labour leader because there's not enough evil. Not enough evil. We need a vampire at the helm, just projecting pure evil from his eyes in bolts. He always comes back. He comes back stronger. He's like Thrush or something. Now he's a lord. Who made him a lord? The Sith?
Not a good photograph for someone who looks slightly scary at the best of times. Feel free at home to draw a tiny moustache under his nose just to get the full effect of that photograph.
He's so reptilian. When that woman threw green slime in his face, I thought he was bleeding.
He's not actually going to prosecute the woman who threw green custard at him. And do you know the reason that he's not going to prosecute her?
Loves custard?
No. The reason is that apparently, right, Ruth Kelly, she got egged. She decided to prosecute the person who egged her, went along to court, and on her way to court to prosecute, she got egged again.
He was MP for Hartlepool.
Yeah.
How did that work? He was MP for Hartlepool for 12 years, a Europhilic homosexual. It's like John Barrowman being president of Afghanistan. I like to think that he would have formed a sort of odd couple friendship with the leader of the local Labour Council. Peter, you teach me how to appreciate Don Giovanni. I'll show you how to fight a dog.
OK, at the end of that round, the points go to Frankie Hugh and Stewart. Our next round is called Newsreel, replaying a recent piece of footage featuring people in the news and ask Hugh to suggest what might be being said. This week's clip features the royal family.
Oh, well, Mother, another day, another state occasion. Must be very tiring. Do you ever feel like hanging up the old boots and handing over to someone younger? Don't be ridiculous, Charles. William isn't ready yet. Which way do we go? Oh, just go to the right. A bit more to the right. That's it. To the right. Go to the right. Oh, bollocks, he's missed it. Very worth digging the hole. Can I get you some food, Mother? What do you like? Pufferfish? Strychnine? Daily nightshade? They do some lovely sushi here. I think I've got some polonium in my pocket. Yes. Look, do give it a rest, Charles. You've got to get it into your head. My reign so far has been that long, but it will be that long. That long. That long. When I'm making myself feel that long. This long, that long. You see? I don't know why broke me so upset. I just asked him if he was a cannibal.
Now we play a round called Mock the 9 o'clock news. This game involves Zoe, Stuart, Andy and Russell, so if you could make your way to the performance area, please. This is where we test our performance stand-up skills. We spin our news generator, it settles on a topic, and anyone can volunteer jokes about the chosen subject. The winners are the people I judge to produce the funniest stuff. OK, here we go. Let's spin the wheel. The first subject is finance. Can I have a volunteer to talk about that? Andy.
British Airways, their answer to the credit crunch, they've asked their employees, can you come into work for nothing for a month or take a month off unpaid? There's a tricky choice, isn't there? And who is going to want to fly British Airways? The last thing you want to hear when you get on the plane, this is your captain speaking. I'm not being paid today. Good luck. I am looking forward to seeing the credit crunch version of Monopoly. You know, instead of getting £1,500 from the bank, you have to lend the bank £1,500. And then everybody keeps on going round the board with nobody buying any property whatsoever, because they always think it's going to be cheaper next time they go around.
Well done, Andy. OK, let's spin the wheel again. The subject is Sarah Palin. Who wants to talk about that?
Sarah Palin. She was apparently an ex-beauty queen of a town in Alaska called Wasilla. And the press were very keen on this. They kept saying, you know, the beauty queen Sarah Palin, the ex-beauty queen, the beauty queen Sarah Palin. Let me tell you something, people. Wasilla is a very, very small town. Population 8, possibly 9,000 people at the best of times. To call it a one-horse town is to over-exaggerate the number of horses in that town by one. They timeshare a horse with another shithole down the road. Now, my brother used to live in Anchorage, Alaska, and I have been to Wasilla, and in the 5 minutes it took us to drive across Wasilla, I was voted beauty queen of Wasilla. It was no big deal, honestly. An otter and a caribou came second and third. Just there.
And your next going. That leaves us with Stuart and Russell. Let's spin the wheel again. The next topic is men's health. Who wants to come in on that? Russell.
I went to the doctors recently with anal issues. I thought I had cancer, not I can't put my CDs in order. But it's a terrifying moment, right? So scary, because in your head, I'm going to die. And I went there and I took down my trousers. Obviously, we had a chat first, and it just... I'm not very well. You see that, mate? This is a chip shop. You've never done it slower in your life. I was just peeling them down. I got them down to about there. Just heard his booming voice go, in the other room. You have a decision to make there. Do you pull them up or do you waddle with pride, right? You waddle, that's what you do. When you waddle, you can't help but giggle. The last thing you need is to be giggling. This poor man's going to pop his finger in your Richard because now you're a wiggling target, right? I'll be honest, when the finger goes in, you're not laughing anymore. You're like a red arrow. And that's the moment they chat. How you doing? Fine. Can you draw the curtains? We've gathered quite a crowd. Look at that, it's Atrium Steps and he's getting violated. On the other road!
OK, Stuart, let's see what you've been left with. Let's spin the wheel. And the topic is school.
You are looking at a very proud Canadian who's very proud of the education system in Canada. No, I was horrible in school. I failed math so many times I can't even count. I preferred French over chemistry because the chemistry teacher and I just didn't have any, rapport. One teacher said I'd be a better student if I spent less time flirting. I immediately jumped off his lap. One teacher used to always say I wasn't very observant, but you know what? That was his or her opinion. I was going to join the debating team, but someone talked me out of it. In high school, I was voted most likely to reminisce.
OK, in that round, the points go to Zoe and Stuart. Our next round is called Headliners. Here's a picture of Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, but what does ACIP stand for?
Is it Abdul's Carpets, Irresistible Prices?
Is it another celebrity introduces perfume?
What would be... sorry, stench of desert?
Stench of atomic cloud.
Has he forgotten that he comes from an Islamic country and he's going, Happy Christmas, I'm pissed.
Is it a Columbo impersonator performs?
Am I torturing you? I'm sorry. Am I torturing you? I'm sorry. This is just going to take 5 fingers. I'm sorry.
Mrs. Columbo loved your bombing.
Mrs. Columbo actually voted for you.
Is it aliens capture Iranian president and he's there going, phone home?
Oh, nice. I'll give you a clue. The A doesn't stand for Ahmadinejad.
Alan Carr is priceless?
Nor does it stand for Alan. It stands for Ayatollah.
Ayatollah.
Aladdin.
Ayatollah confirms Iranian president.
Very good, well done, Hugh. Thank you very much. Yes, the answer I was looking for was Ayatollah confirms Iranian president. This is a story that Ayatollah Khamenei has finally declared Mahmoud Ahmadinejad the winner of June's Iranian presidential elections, despite ongoing protests.
But what was incredible about it, so basically they were accused of stealing the election and then people protested, and then Ahmadinejad said, you know who's to blame, don't you? Britain. And we all went, eh? We're watching Wimbledon, mate. We're watching a hairy Scottish man do very well.
Xavier was his opponent, wasn't he? And after the election, he had his supporters come out and marched, and then Ahmadinejad's supporters came out and did a counter-march, and then there was another march, and it was basically, if only we had some way of telling who had the most supporters, like maybe some sort of election or something. Don't we need to give perspective here? OK, they arrest protesters. We arrested protesters after G20. Yeah. They killed a protester. We killed a guy who wasn't even protesting. They've got Sharia law that isn't very nice to women. We've got Jude law.
How did you come to the attention of a lot of people over here?
Twitter.
I use Twitter.
It
was a beautiful story about that when Ahmadinejad...
It's not a name that you can't pronounce, but it's a name that you have to think about just before you pronounce.
Yes.
He probably thinks that everybody's just incredibly dramatic. Hello, President Ahmadinejad. Why is everybody so arch in Iran? I don't know, President Ahmadinejad.
What was amazing about the Twitter story was that because they're so scared of protesting, that the way they were going to protest, when Ahmadinejad was going to be on TV, they were going to put on every household appliance so that they could try and cause a blackout to get him off telly. Isn't that beautiful? He's on, put on the kettle, plug in the Hoover.
You're there sat there with your tetleys going, I'm part of a revolution.
Yeah.
All Twitter was all obviously on one side until Ahmadinejad himself went on Twitter and he tweeted, hey everybody, some crazy stories about the election, but sadly got pwned. Mega lols. And all these about, like, this is the endorsement. For God, I'm sorry. This is a sense of scale. This is a country that aspires towards nuclear weaponry. This is their presidential endorsement. That's a raffle at a school hall, right?
I actually played that club, and it's very distracting with those three guys behind me.
He also doesn't seem to have any feet. Where have his feet gone?
In other words, what is this?
That's a chart.
It's a chart, yes. A chart of what?
This is a new point system that immigrants must adhere to if they want to live in this country.
Yes, you get bonus points if you've got English, and you lose points if you fail to integrate, which seems harsh in the initial interview. You know, turn up dressed as a pearly queen. Oh, way! Good integrating, well done.
It's basically racist, isn't it? What, people are going to have to learn English to get a British passport? No, I'm afraid it's my family and I will be murdered if we go home. Not my family and me. Back to the Sudan with you.
They want them to learn British history, but essentially British history is us invading their country, enslaving their people, and then nicking their natural resources. Always good to remind them of that before we welcome them into the country.
Nobody says this, right? If you're seeking asylum in this country, you probably need asylum. Right? If you come from a sunny country and you want to move to Birmingham, someone in your homeland is trying to murder you. If you're rocking up to Preston looking for a better life, things have gone very badly wrong where you come from. Let those people in. Don't say to those people, hey, you're a heart surgeon in your homeland, but you read very badly from Beowulf. We'll have to let you go.
It's really unfair, though, isn't it? Because it always comes down, they have to know things about Winston Churchill. You ask anyone in this country, give us a famous quote from Churchill, and I guarantee they'll go, oh, yes.
This is to the point to get yourself into the country. Currently, there is a Life in the UK test, which features questions like this. After the Second World War, where did British textile and engineering firms send agents to find workers? No. Now, judging by the reaction of the audience here and 6 blank faces here, and even more weirdly, there's another question from the life skills test. Where does Santa Claus come from? Now, there's debate in this country about that particular issue. There is no hard and fast answer to that one, but that is among them. Why don't you just, if you really want people to mix in, just give them a simple finish the sentence question with questions like, the referee's a what? And if they can finish that, like, Frosty's there, what?
Why don't we just go the whole hog, admit we're racist, and at immigration control have a Dulux wall chart, and when people rock up, we go, burnt umber, I'm afraid not. Oxham sunset, in you come, just.
By the way, this announcement of this new clampdown on immigration, what made it slightly awkward?
It was a fantastic story because there was an illegal immigrant found hiding underneath a bus that was full of people who work for immigration.
Yes, it was.
Isn't that a brilliant story?
It was a bus carrying staff of the UK Border Agency, and an illegal immigrant clambered underneath it and hid beside the fuel tank.
The last place they'll look.
It is. It really was the last place.
Just for cheekiness, he should be allowed in because that is brilliant. That is like a mouse sneaking into the house by holding onto the cat's nipples, isn't it?
Well, apparently when they got to Folkestone, he just legged it. I'd have loved to have been on that bus and seen those guys. Well, I think that went quite well, don't you? I think it went quite well. Oh dear, who's that chap? I don't want to sound racist, but there's no way that any of us are going to catch him over 5,000 metres.
OK, at the end of that round, the points go to Frankie. You and Stuart. Now we come to our final quickfire round called Scenes We'd Like to See. This is for everyone, so if you could make your way to the performance area, please. I caught ideas for scenarios we'd love to see, and the performers come in with their suggestions. OK, here we go. The first subject is unlikely lines from a thriller.
Michael, Peter, David, Vladimir, I think we may have a spy in the organisation.
Give me the pentagon, then the triangle, and then the square.
Pussy galore, Bond here. I've been told by my doctor that I need to contact all previous partners.
The owner of this motel dresses up as his mother and stabs people. But the guidebook says it's still better than the Ibis.
I want you to go to Warsaw, meet a man called Borislav. You'll then ask him why he didn't fix my plumbing before he left the home.
Miss Scarlett looked at him through the window. He had one massive testicle like a space hopper. That was why they called him Professor Plum.
This is no ordinary pen, Bond. Turn it upside down, the woman's clothes drop off and you can see her tits.
Red or green, which do I cut? Come on, they're only peppers. How long is this salad going to take?
We need to find the third man. There's no way Amanda Holden will shag just two of us.
Here's
Simon.
The Orient Express has been cancelled. However, there was a murder on the temporary Orient replacement bus.
I have amnesia. The tattoos on my body will tell me what happened. Dara was here.
I'd been a serial killer for 4 years, but they'd never given me a nickname. Then, you bite one guy in the ass, suddenly you're the butt muncher.
The butt muncher's got me! The butt muncher's got me!
OK, the next topic is bad things to say at a wedding. I do.
Don't worry, the vows are simple. Just repeat after me. Eeny, meeny, mackerel, rare, ride, dominac, tick a pocket, lollipop, rom, pom, push.
And we will now sing hymn number 225. My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard.
When John went down on one knee, I wish I'd known that he was having a stroke.
I'd like to thank Elsie for the flowers. It was her funeral I nicked them from.
So your best man's in an absolute state. That's my mum.
Now, it's my job to tell some amusing stories about Gavin. So, first of all, for a kick-off, he's a hermaphrodite.
My bride always wears white. Isn't that right, Dolly? Bah!
Now, Carol's family have always had their doubts about me. So, first of all, let me explain why I'm naked.
This is my first gay wedding, so you must be the pretty one.
To my new son-in-law, I would say this. You have released me. This monster is yours now.
I would like to apologise for the state of my clothes and the smell of sick only I spent last night in a skip. Anyway, dearly beloved, we are gathered here today
People have said to me, why have you stopped being a bachelor after so long? And I say, well, look at her. She's wealthy and she's dying.
It wouldn't be a traditional Norfolk wedding without a speech from the father of the bride and groom.
The end of that round, the points go to Frankie Hughes Stewart. That's the end of the show. This week's winners are Frankie Boyd, Hugh Dennis and Stuart Francis. Commiserations to Andy Parsons, Zoe Lyons and Russell Howard. Thank you for watching. I'm Dara Breen. Good night.
The weird acts, the deluded wannabes and the judges you just love to hate. Why do we go and put stars in their eyes? It's the funny side of talent shows on BBC Two next.